Well, good morning. I slept in until 20 to 9 this morning. That's the first time in months and months and months and months and months and months and months. So felt quite good actually. I have to be out of bed by 9 anyway. I used to set my alarm. I don't bother anymore because I'm usually up at 6-7 o'clock. But I find that if I sleep in bed after 9 o'clock, then my fibromyalgia really kicks in. So it's good to get a good sleep routine and find what's right for you if you have fibro and any physical health condition and the neurological condition as well. Sleep is the most important. Sleep hygiene. There's a podcast on that somewhere. I think if you scroll down below. I've also written about it in my book. I'm just sitting reading at the moment and getting ready for my spiritual reading at 11 o'clock this morning. Luckily I do have some old reading prescription glasses. It's got an old distance in though as well, so that's a bit weird. So I can sit and read in the sun, okay. Until I break or lose these obviously, but there you go. Anyway, I'll be back later with some excerpts from my reading. I've just read something in this novel. It's a novel, but it really resonated with me. It says, so even though it disappointed them, I went ahead and did what was right for me. It took a long time before I adjusted to the responsibility of being cared for, worried over, and loved. That has hit home big time because I'm a very independent woman. I stand on my own 2 feet on days that I can. Obviously other days I fall over on them, but that's fine. But I always had this thing of I don't need anybody else. I've always, from a very early age, learned that I have interpreted things in the way that was my perception, that you can't rely on others and you have to just do things for yourself. That's not anything I was taught. That's a lesson that I took from situations, and it's not necessarily true. And since Andy got very ill and then died, and I've gone off and done these things like riding on my motorbike and coming abroad on my own, people really have shown lots of concern and worry for me and love and care, and I find it really difficult, even to the point when I'm telling people my story when I was in Ireland and telling people why I was there and what I was doing. And I'd say, unfortunately I lost my partner, and they go, oh, I am sorry, and it's like I couldn't even hear their condolences. I didn't want to go there. I'd go, oh, that's okay. And of course it's not okay, but it is what it is. But I do find it really hard, and I adjusted to the responsibility. It is a responsibility of being cared for, worried over, and loved. And in fact, early on when Andy had just passed, I found it really difficult because people were obviously rightly checking in on me, seeing how I was. And I was okay. I was grieving, but that's okay, and it's okay to grieve. But I had quite a lot of pressure. I put a lot of pressure on myself on having to respond to people all the time in case they then worried about me even more. But that's my perception and that's my responsibility. But yeah, I'm going to take a lot from that today. That it's okay. It's okay to accept that we have to adjust to the different ways and the different things that happen to us in life. And I need to adjust to being cared for, worried over and loved, because that's okay too. I've got to stop pushing it away and let it all in. It's just so good to reflect on stuff, isn't it? And I didn't try to analyse, I didn't sit there with stuff for long. It just suddenly, I carried on reading, and then it just suddenly came to me that the reason why I find it difficult to cope with concern and love and care is because I think people don't trust me. They think I'm stupid, they think I'm an idiot, they think I can't do it. That's my perception. That's where that all comes from. So I push it all away to prove that I'm not an idiot, that I can cope, that I'm all right on my own, thank you very much. And there's only a few people like Andy that I let in, and a few friends as well that I let in. Like my friend Karen, she shouts at times, she goes off in her Irish way. I'm absolutely fine with that. And I actually said to her the other day, if anybody else shouted around me like that, I'd be like, oh, God, scared, frightened. But I'm not with her. It's strange, isn't it? It's odd. It's not strange, it's not odd, it is what it is. But That's what it's about. That's why I find it really uncomfortable to let people know or show their concern or their care, because actually the way I interpret that is, oh, you think I can't do this? You think I can't cope? What the hell am I trying to prove? Things are going to change today. I'm going to have a very open heart and take concern and love as concern and love, and in the vein in which it is given, rather than putting my perceptions and my interpretation on it. It isn't right, it isn't wrong. It just, as I said, is what it is. But I'm going to work on that today. Let the love in. Oh, that was incredible. I've just had my reading. I've had to walk away from the trees, find somewhere a bit quieter from what I thought were the crickets, but I think they're them, things you get in America that are in the trees. I can't remember what they're called now, I have to look them up. They're so loud today. Anyway, Andy was very loud as well in the reading, and it was amazing. I mean, she just told me, I mean, the things she said were things that, yeah, that I've kind of said to people probably, but not on videos and things like that. But she said that he's very proud of me, and that he needed to go. He held on for longer for me, really, and I think it was for our spiritual connection at the end. But he's at peace, and it is, although he would have liked longer here, which is what he always said, he just wanted one more summer. He just needed to go, and he is at peace. He's at relief now, and he's still around me, giving me advice to walk away from everything in the past, just get on with my life, live my life to the fullest of what I want to do, to travel. Told me it's been on a long journey, just to keep travelling, but to go places that I wanted to go, not necessarily to go to places that just he wanted to go. So if it doesn't appeal to me, I'm like, yeah, but that's what I've got in my mind, is all this travel to go and do. So yeah, and just to live every day. And she kept laughing. She's got a great sense of humour. I said, he definitely has. He had the best sense of humour. Anyway, she told me I've got to re-establish myself. I'm one step away from achieving what I want to achieve, and I've got to put my full energy in it, and I need a bit of a kick up the arse at times. And that he knows that I'm heading for a dip at some point, but I need to keep busy, keep doing, because when I stop, that's when it's going to be a bit of an issue. And she said, you know, that you wouldn't, he knows that you, although you miss him, you wouldn't wish him back in the way that he was, which is what I say all the time, and I wouldn't wish that back on anybody. I miss him, I wish he didn't get ill, but I would not wish him back in the body that he was in, and the illness and the pain and suffering that he went through. She said that he did realise that he was dying for quite a while, but he was at peace with it. And I think that's something that at the end, you know, it was like, well, was I pretending he was going to live? And he was pretending he was going to live for each other, but we kind of knew. But she said he was at peace, and he was comfortable, which he was. He did have a good passing, and a good dying day, if there is such a thing. But he hasn't died. He is still around me. What was there? I mean, there was just so much there, but for me not to give in, I've got to keep going. And that he's fully around me, he's fully supporting me, which is weird because he hated all the social media and stuff, but I know that he's proud of me and everything I'm achieving, especially my travel. And she said, you know, you've just done a long journey and you can do anything now. You've proved it to yourself that you can do anything. She also said that he will be sending me a companion, someone in my life that will never be as close as he is. Most of that actually makes me feel panicky now. I don't want anyone else. And she said, well, no, it'll probably just be a companion. He knows you'll never have, you know, you were twin flame soulmates. It will never be the same with anybody else. And it's certainly not something I want, is to be with anybody else. But she said to that he's saying, she was laughing because he's like the puppet master orchestrating it, so that I'm not on my own, that I've got a companion, I've got someone who's going to come and help me get my projects off the ground and do what I want to do and just support me. So that would be nice. I've also got a female Virgo coming back into my life, which is probably my friend Karen, because we are in and out. We're always in each other's lives, but we don't see each other very often. And I was talking to her about coming over to Spain and looking at March, April, May next year, because that's what Andy and I wanted to do. And she went quiet, and I went, is that not a good time? She picked up a card and she went, he says no. She said, what would be another time? I went December, January, February, which is what we would have done last year. And she went, yep. He said, definitely yes, that's the right time. So I'm going to have to change my look now, really, on a spiritualist, which, to be fair, would be the months I'd want to come. They really are. and this is a lot of what what the reading was about, was doing things for me that my whole life really I've put everybody else first, and now he wants me to see me putting myself first and doing what I want to do and not being stopped by but ifs, just to get on and just do stuff. So that's probably what I'm going to do. But yeah, it was a really, really good reading. There was something else really quite imperative, like really poignant, and I can't remember what it is right now, but I'm sure that it will come to me and I'll come back to it. But it was quite interesting after, you know, the discussion, that paragraph that came from that book to Dale, that sentence, and how I took from that, and some of the things she said all sort of kind of tied in with that, which was really, yeah, quite, yeah, I just got to live for me now and get on. But he will always be with me. He will always be with me. That was the other thing she said. I just showed her at the end of our reading, I showed her the dragonfly video, which I think is going in Spain day 3, I think. And she didn't watch the whole thing, but she went, yeah, it's definitely him. She said, look, watch the start of the video again, like of the whole thing. And I started watching it. She said, you'll see an orb. So if you just watch that first bit again before the dragonfly even arrives, when I'm saying about missing him, there's an orb dancing across the screen backwards and forwards, which he did with a feather a few months ago. Not long after he died, he sent a feather up and down and round, floating in front of me. So so I've still got my feathers, still got the dragonflies, and now I've got orbs too. So it's good. I feel so good. I knew he was around me anyway, but now I know I've got his blessing in whatever I can do. And you know, he said that I can do anything, and that's exactly how I've been feeling now, that the world is my oyster. He wants me to travel for us. He will be with me all the time, and so that's given me the strength to keep going. I do have doubts. I have doubts about my vlogging. I have doubts about everything I do, but he's just sort of said, stop the doubts, just get on, just do it. So I'm going to continue. If only one person watches a day and it helps one person a day, that's all I care about really, just making a difference to somebody's day every day. Hopefully today it will be yours. So the chirping sound you can hear in the trees, it's cicadas, I can remember. C-I-C-A-D-A-S. And it's only the males apparently. They're bloody noisy. They're trying to attract their female mates. Anyways, there must be lots of them in there. But anyway, I couldn't put any photos up because they're all copyrighted, and I'm not chasing around trying to find a picture of a cicada. I've done enough dancing with a dragonfly this week. Just been to see an apartment in Alhar El Grande. It's lovely. It is lovely, but it's too much for what I want. I'd have just be living on the ground floor, and it's all quite a steep hill and everything. So, but I'm going to look at other places first. I'm not going to say a definite hard no. I'm looking now, actually, I'm thinking I don't really want to be flying backwards and forwards to Christmas, so I think I'm going to come January, February, March, maybe without the bike. And I'm thinking of perhaps I've got another book in me, so I might sit here and find somewhere just to sit and write, maybe. Digesting a lot of what Andy said. So it might be good just to come and have some time out to do that, actually. And then maybe come back later next year on the bike, on Bumblebee, and do some riding, maybe. Then that's my kind of thoughts anyway. I was going to say some other stuff, but as usual I've forgotten it. Oh yeah, that was the thing that I looked down about my sleep hygiene podcast. I cannot see that on my YouTube. It is definitely on www.sobertownpodcast.com. There's loads of great podcasts on there, and much more. So you can check it out on Sobertown Podcast. Just have a little Google of that. Lots more. It's not just about sobriety, it's about addiction, all sorts of addictions, but there's lots of interesting great stuff on there. Or of course you can read it in my book, The A to Z of Alcohol and Sobriety, Everything You Need to Know, by moi, Karina Alderton. There's a heading under S that says sleep, and another heading under S that says sleep hygiene. So yeah, check it out. Lots of great stuff on there on well-being, physical, mental health well-being, addiction and alcohol, if you want to read about that too. But there's a lot, it's not just about that. I'm sure there's loads of stuff that resonate, and there are definitely some excerpts of my book. Scroll down on YouTube and you will find them on here. Okay, I'm gonna get ready now to have some tea. It's really hot tonight, really humid. It's 10 to 6 and it's really quite hot, so I think I might have to have a little dip in the pool. So good night for now, see you tomorrow.